everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I am your host, Dr. Angela Butch Toaster. You guys know what I like to do on my show. I want to enlighten you. I want to inspire you. I want to empower you to become your best self. Now, Scripture reminds us that the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. And that's what we want to do today, get you fired up about my guest. I will be spending time with author Stone Fauks today, and we're talking about his book, Life, Love, and Other Mysteries. So go on, get comfy, get cozy, get your coffee or get your tea, because we are about to get started. Hello, Stone. Thank you so much for joining me here on Daily Spark with Dr. Angela.
Hi, Dr. Angela. How are you doing today?
I am well. Thank you so much for joining me for today. Now, as is tradition on the show, we always give our guests an opportunity to introduce themselves to those few folks out there that might be unfamiliar with you or your work. So my first question for you is, tell us a little bit about yourself. What makes you, you?
Well, I've been writing for a few years now, for quite a few years, and it's something I do, for fun, just to ease my mind, just to.
Now, being an author, is that something that you've always wanted to do, or did you find that this was an opportunity for you to share with the public?
I got interested in writing because actually I had bad grades in English when I was in grammar school, and my mom would pick up my report cards. And during one of the parent-teacher meetings, she asked the teacher what could she do to improve my grades, and the teacher suggested that she buy books and read them with me or to me, and have me read to her. And that developed a love for reading. That's to this day I'm always reading something, and it made me question, what can I write? What can I do? So I developed a habit of writing because of my bad grades in school.
And see, this is why I asked this question, because you never know what the answer is going to be. But the one thing that I find to be quite interesting is we never know how a seed can be planted. Your love or your what you've turned into be is a result of what happened to you at an early age. And I think the same for me, Stone, and that is my mother introduced reading to me at a very young age, and I have always had a love for books. So the fact that I am living my dream by being on radio, but I am interviewing authors, I tell you, it's just like, look at what God can do, right? And how we have these things that we don't know how it's going to start off, but we're seeing how it is getting us through this journey called life. So I love it. That is inspiration for someone out there that perhaps didn't do too good in school either. But look at you turn this into being an award-winning author. So that is awesome. Now, speaking of that, the book portion of what you do, the author portion of what you do, every author has to determine what they're going to call their work. Many have expressed that the title of the book came to them first, and they kind of wrote the book around the title. Others have said, well, Dr. Angela, I didn't know what I was going to call it. And then out of the book, the title kind of came together. What experience did you have when it came to the title for this book?
The poems came first because I knew I wanted to write a book. I knew I wanted to publish a book because a lot of my friends and family encouraged me to, and I've always wanted to do it anyway. So I decided which poems I wanted, and then out of the collection of poems I got, Life, Love, and Other Mysteries just seemed to fit the scope of the book.
Now, as far as the age group is concerned of the ideal reader, and I ask this question the same way for every author because we get an image in our mind's eye. I ask it this way. When it comes to the ideal reader, is high school an appropriate age, or should someone be college age and older?
Now, high school age, they will get a lot from this book, because a lot of what I wrote is experiences that most of us have. And when you're that age, when you're in high school or college, it's good to read about, okay, somebody else went through it too. So, if I just hang in there, then I can get through it also. And so,
Absolutely.
the age, it's good for high school or college.
And I love how more and more authors seem to be more mindful of that some of our young adults, as well as our high schoolers and even middle schoolers, that they're going through things now, just like some of the adults are. So why not include them in or write in a way that we're able to pull them in as well? I love that you did that. Now, I'd like to always say this bit of disclaimer. If you want to know how the story ends, you must buy the book. With that being said, I want to ask you, can you tell us a little bit about your book? Without, of course, giving it all away, but do tell us about your book.
Well, it's a collection of experiences that I've had, that family or friends have had, and I just found a creative way to express what they went through or what I went through, and sort of try to end on a positive note.
Now, my next question for you is every author has to determine what parts they are going to include, or in the editing process, they have to decide what parts they are going to exclude. You chose life, love, and other mysteries. When it comes to those topics, how did you determine which pieces you would include in the book, or for that matter, exclude?
Well, there were a few factors: the length of the book, the theme, and the overall point that I was trying to make with this collection. I did want a longer collection, but at the time I didn't have enough funds for something longer, so I settled for 50 poems. Sorry. I wanted to have something published, even if it was a short book, and I wanted everyone who read this book to see that they're not alone, that there's struggles in life. Most of the selections, most of the selections are from my life, my family or friends' experiences, and I hope that people feel less alone, knowing that others have had similar experiences and made it through. You know,
And I love that every author is so mindful when they are trying to determine what they're going to present to the world. That you're really not only thinking about the topic that you want to talk about, your personal experiences, but what are other people going through as well, and how can you encourage them through your work. So I love that people are doing this. Now, for some authors I've spoken to, Stone, they said that there was a nudge or there was an inspiration that they received. That could be literally from someone saying, you need to make this into a book. Or some have expressed that they really felt that God talked to them in one way or another and really prompted them that it was time to write this book, or at least get it published so that the world could see it. Do you feel that you had any particular inspiration or prompting that really said, now is the time?
it was mainly, my my family, they loved what I wrote, and I performed at different events and stuff, and people always encouraged me and said, you should write a book, you should publish something. And it just felt, like it was the right time, that I felt that I had something to say, that I had something that could help someone else. Because that's something that I've missed in my life is, well, not really missed, but I didn't have too many people, whatever, encouraging me, and I just wanted to be there for somebody else.
And I find that in the various professions that are available to us, many times there is a backstory that is very similar to that statement, in that they want to help someone else, and this is their avenue. Many times people will become scientists or doctors because they had a loved one that was ill, and they want to find the cure or be the person who helps. And I love how people are able to take that inspiration from a personal situation and help the world. I know that was one of the reasons why I became a pastoral counselor, because I wanted to help people understand that their faith was more than just listening to a sermon on Sundays, but that you could live your faith and you could have a really great relationship with God. So I definitely see how you've been able to parlay that into this book. Now, you chose the avenue of poetry to share with the world. Many people, when you say poems or poetry, they become a little frightened, and they're like, no. It's bad enough having to write an essay. I can't imagine having to write a poem. Why was poetry the best way for you to share with this book?
I chose poetry because it was actually because of a broken heart. The crush I had in high school, she broke my heart. It was, when I was in high school, it was a bunch of us that would go home the same route. And this girl in my English class, she was one of the people that walked with us. And she asked me one day, if I would help her with an assignment. And I told her, sure, I'll help her. And, I went by her house a few times and we worked on the assignment. And, I finally asked her one day if she would be my girlfriend. And she said no. She said she had a boyfriend. And, of course, I was crushed. But I just kept thinking about it on the way home. And when I got home, I just started writing, and that was the first thing that came out, was that poem from that broken heart. And I've just been writing poetry ever since.
I love it. I love it. Well, Stone, it is time for us to go to break. But before we do, can you please remind everyone, what is the title of your book? Where can we get a copy? And how do we stay in contact with you?
Well, Dr. Angela, my book is Life, Love, and Other Mysteries. It can be purchased on Amazon or wherever other books are sold. And you can contact me through Ex Libris, the publisher of my book.
Alrighty, everyone. Now you know where you can get a copy of the book. We'll be back right after this. And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I'm your host, Dr. Angela Chester. I am spending time today with Stone Fauks, and we are talking about his book, Life, Love, and Other Mysteries. Well, Stone, my next question to you is, were there any surprises that you learned along the way when you were creating this book? Were there any pleasant moments for you in the creation?
Well, one thing that was most surprising to me is the amount of research involved. There's a fair amount of research in poetry. You know, in writing a novel or a short story, of course, you have to do research. You know, you want to make your character seem real. You want to make the place seem real. But there's also research when it comes to poetry because you want to make sure you're using the right words. You want to make sure that you're getting your point across. You know, if you're rhyming, you want to make sure that the rhyming word makes sense, that it fits what you're trying to say. Or if it has a double meaning, that the double meaning is there, you know. And it's a lot of in-depth research that goes into writing. Well, that goes into writing poetry. You know, that's really one of the most surprising things to me.
I think that for many people, and like I said before, and I think it starts actually while we're in school, you know, having to write that piece of poetry, and it's like, oh no, you know, most people are really really hate that part. It's like, please give me something else, you know. I don't want to do that. So you are right there. Now, for some folks, you know, writing poetry, such as yourself, it's not, you know, that big of a deal. It's something that can come quite naturally, and I found that for many people who enjoy creating in the form of poetry, they also enjoy spoken word or can appreciate open mic nights at their local, you know, coffee bars and the like. Have you found that there has been a connection for you? I don't want to assume, but is there also that connection for you as well? You can appreciate the poet that gets up for an open mic night as well?
Yeah, I've participated in a few open mic night venues, you know, poetry slams. I've been at different church events and clubs and libraries and things, performing my poems. And I was even on a cable talk show called Jenny's Reflections. And the hostess, Jenny Washington, would tell me what the topic was about, and I would write a poem on that subject. And
I just absolutely love it when people are able to do that, and I know some people personally that enjoy a great open mic night. And I'm so proud of them for getting up there and doing that. Now I'm not no stranger to public speaking and doing all of that, but have never tried an open mic. So for me, I think it's like, wow, that is awesome. So bravo for that. Now, for someone who writes poetry, I very much understand it that each one is a labor of love, if you will. That you've really taken the time to sit down and kind of pour yourself into each piece that you present to us. With that being said, do you have a particular piece that is your favorite? Now, I had one author tell me, Stone, Dr. Angela, they're all my babies. How could you ask me that question? And it's like, I know, I'm so sorry. But I do, you may inspire someone to actually go and try to find that piece as well. With that being said, do you have a favorite or one that really stands out to you, perhaps a little more than the others?
Well, there's three that I really like, but I think the one that I like the most is There's More to Goodbye Than Goodbye. Says, we stand at this threshold of goodbye. My mind is filled with memories of you and I. It's not easy to say farewell to love or life or to our tomorrow. As we part, my heart is filled with sorrow. How can I say goodbye to you and I, or try to explain a history that is our domain? For me, saying goodbye is not so plain. It feels like I'm tossing I'm tossing aside a lifetime of sunshine for rain, with thoughts of our past and present and a future that won't be writ, saying farewell nor goodbye seems to fit.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Oh wow, I love it. I love it. Now, see, this is why I ask these questions because you never know what's going to be highlighted. I love it. I love it. Now, when you are writing, do you ever find that you are inspired by the things that are going on in the world? Be it that you could go to your local grocery store, or you're on vacation, or perhaps you hear something on the news or on the radio. Are you able to use those things as inspiration, or do you find that it's more so however the spirit moves you to write, that's what you're writing about?
Well, actually, it's a little bit of both, because there are times where I could just be sitting at the lake or something, and something comes to my head, and I just write. I just write what's in my heart, or I could have like an experience, or just see something, see a mother talking to their child, and that could spur a poem or something. So it's basically just what's happening around me. If I if the words come to me.
I find that with so many people that the world in general is inspiration. When you open your eyes to that, or when you are a personality type that tends to be caring and empathetic, and that you tend to have a pulse on what's going on in the world, that you're able to use that and parlay that into what you provide, or the services that you offer, or for many writers, what they're choosing to write about as well. So I see the connection there. Now, if you will, I want to kind of shift gears just a little bit. And my listeners know that one of the largest groups that choose to email me, and I thank all of my aspiring authors out there for emailing me. Now, other people can email as well. Let's not just give, the shout out to the aspiring authors, but they are the ones who email the most. And they love that I ask the questions about process, because it encourages them to keep doing what they're doing, or gives them an idea, an epiphany to change some stuff up. With that being said, one question I like to ask of everyone is about choosing how to get your book out there. Every author has to decide, do I self-publish? Do I use professional services? Or do I try to pitch my book to the big boys? With that being said, how did you determine which way would be best for you?
Well, at the time, I was a little leery about self-publishing. I had my doubts. I wasn't sure how to go about it. So I looked up different publishing companies, and I came across Ex Libris, which helps you publish your book. It's not a huge publishing company, but they're out there, and they helped me to help me organize the book, help me.
Mm-hmm. And I think that is so important, that you really find the perfect fit for you. I'm so happy that of over 400 folks that I have talked to, I only have a handful of folks that said, I had a horrible experience And I'm so glad that the publishing companies out there are really doing what they're supposed to be doing, and that they are helping and not hindering the authors out there, because this is a really big step. So I'm glad that they are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Now, the next question is regarding being a success. Now, when we ask people in general, what does it mean to be successful? Most of the time, folks will say, you live in a really big house in a great neighborhood. You're driving an exotic car or an expensive car. Those type of material things. It used to be when I was a little girl. It used to be you had a fur coat. People don't do that quite as much, but that type of thing is something really expensive. With that being said, literary success doesn't always mean those material things the way that perhaps corporate success does. What does literary success, book success, mean to you, Stone?
Well, to me, it's about helping others. I just like to help people. I like to, be there for them, give them advice or, any help that I can. And if I can, write something and encourage people, then, I'm happy. Of course, book sales would help too, but I just want to, help people, encourage people, and the more people that I can help and, encourage and motivate, then, I'm happy.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it sounds like that is the majority of people that I get to spend time with here on air with. That tends to be the answer. I just want to make sure that I am helping someone else. So I love it. Well, Stone Fauks, thank you so much for spending time with me here on Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. We are out of time, but I think that you have definitely given someone something to think about and a reason to purchase your book. Now, before I let you go, speaking of your book, can you remind everyone what is its title, where can we get a copy, and how do we stay in contact with you?
The title of the book is Life, Love, and Other Mysteries. It can be purchased on Amazon or wherever books are sold. And you can contact me through my publisher, Ex Libris.
Thank you again for being a guest here on the show.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Angela.
Absolutely. And listeners, thank you for spending some time with us here as well. We hope that we have enlightened, inspired, and empowered you again today. As always, may the Lord continue to shine His face upon you. May you receive His grace and His mercy in all that you do. Until next time, everyone, remember that you are blessed in the Lord. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.